substitution effect will tell you that how your quantity is changing, how your quantity is changing when the price of good changes, while you keep your real income and your level of satisfaction constant. Okay, so substitution effect will tell you that how your demand for the quantity of a good will change while you keep your income level and your satisfaction level constant. So that is what is substitution effect. Now in substitution effect there are two kinds of substitution effect. So first is that what Hicks said, and the another one is what Slutsky said. So these two people had their different ideas of the substitution effect. The main point of Hicks was that the person should be on the same indifference curve. That is his utility level, his utility or satisfaction. Utility or satisfaction should remain same. On the other hand, what Slutsky said was that the person should be able to buy his original / old bundle after the change. Here we are talking about only substitution effect. We are not talking about the total effect of the change in the price of a good. We are not talking about the total effect. Total effect के बारे में we are not talking about. We are talking only about the substitution effect here. So what happens is that under Hicks we keep our utility constant, and under Slutsky we keep the purchasing power constant / real income constant. Okay, we keep the purchasing power or the real income constant in Slutsky, and we keep the utility constant in Hicks. So we will come to both of these individually. We will see that what they said and what are the important concepts that are underlying in their substitution effects. So now let us understand that what is Hicks substitution effect using a diagram. So let us assume that the initial our curve is this AB curve, right? This is initial budget line and this is our IC curve. Okay, so this point Q is the initial bundle that the consumer is consuming. Okay, so after the fall in the price of X, okay, here is X and here is Y, good Y. So our budget curve will shift outwards. So our new budget curve will be AC, right? So to neutralize this increase in the income of the consumer, real income of the consumer. So to neutralize this increase in the real income of the consumer, what real income here means is that because earlier say he was earning 100 and the price of good X was 1, so he was getting price of good X was say 10, so he had he could buy 10 units, and now if price of good X has fallen to say 1, then he can buy 100 units. So his real income has increased. With his income, his actual nominal income is 100 only, but in reality he can buy now 90 more units, right? So this is the increase in the real income. So to compensate him for this increase in the real income, we make a shift in the budget line. This is an imaginary shift, so we shift the budget line AC to DE. Okay, so we shift the budget line AC to DE to compensate the increase in the real income that has happened, to compensate him for the increase in the real income that has happened, so that he could stay on his original utility level. He could stay. That is what the point of X is, that the original utility level should be attainable after the change. So when we do that, we get the point T on the original IC only. So this increase that we see here from Q to point T on the X-axis, this is what Hicks substitution effect is. Okay. Now two key points that should be highlighted here is that substitution effect, this is always negative. Substitution effect is always negative. Because why it is negative? Because say price is here increasing and our quantity will decrease. Now we see that price has decreased, price of X has decreased, so quantity of X has increased. So this is what it means by substitution effect, that it is always negative for normal goods. Okay. Also one more thing, that our price effect is equal to substitution effect plus our income effect. Okay, this is what price effect is. Now here our substitution effect is always negative, but our income effect is negative only for normal goods. Substitution effect is negative for either for this normal goods or for inferior goods or for given goods. For all the goods, substitution effect will always be negative only. So now we will talk about our Slutsky substitution. But before going to Slutsky substitution effect, the compensation that we did here from our AC curve to DE curve, this compensation is called compensating variation. This is called compensating variation. Okay. Now we will go back to our Slutsky substitution. So here, unlike the compensating variation in Hicks substitution effect, what Slutsky suggested was cost difference compensation, which will enable the consumer to be able to buy the same consumption that he was buying before the change of the price. Now here, if price changes, and this is our this is my original curve, that AB, from AB I go to AC. Okay, from AB I go to AC. This is a change. This is a change that has happened in my budget, right? So initially I was consuming at this curve, this IC1 curve, and then what happens is that with these cost difference compensation, that is different to the compensating variation that Hicks did. And here what we do is that we compensate him for the increase in the real income in such a way that his original consumption bundle, that is P, is also affordable after the compensation. Now this is what the compensated line is, right? Sorry, not B. Here say D. So from DE also he can consume his original bundle, that is P, but what he is consuming is Q. So this change that happens here, right? This change that happens here from here to here, this is what Slutsky substitution effect is. Okay. Now talking about the benefits of Slutsky is that it is more practical. That is why it can be used easily in policy making. Okay, but what Hicks has in benefit is that the Slutsky variation, what it does is that it overcompensates the consumer. That results in substitution overcompensates the consumer, because the substitution effect here is not pure. Hicksian approach is better for the analysis of the consumer surplus from the welfare economics point of view. Also, welfare economics, where you read about Pareto efficiency and all those things. From that point of view, also Hicksian substitution is deemed to be better than the Slutsky substitution. Now we will talk about the Slutsky decomposition. Decomposition of the price effect into the income and substitution effect. How does that happen with this whole thing? There we will incorporate both substitution effect and income effect into one process. So in Slutsky decomposition, what happens is that initially we have the budget line of AB, and we are consuming at point A, right? Initially this is what we are consuming. Now with the fall in the price of X, we go to say AC. So when we go to AC, so we compensate, all right, for Hicks substitution effect. So when we compensate, we come to this B. So this part is our substitution effect here. Okay, so what happens in substitution effect is that he is substituting from the consumption of Y to consumption of X. He is reducing the consumption of Y here, and he is increasing the consumption of X here. Okay, now next what happens is income effect. Okay, now what happens in income effect is that due to increase in his real income, the consumer will start feeling richer. When he starts feeling richer, he will increase the consumption of both the goods. Now X, since is more cheap, or we can say that is relatively cheap, so there is an increase in the consumption of X more than what he increases for Y. So he also increases for Y. From you can see from this level that the consumption of Y has increased. So this is what happens in income effect. This is our income effect. Now combining both of this substitution effect plus income effect, you can call this total effect or price effect. Okay, so this is what it is. Now this whole case that I have made, this whole case is of normal goods. What happens in this inferior goods is that if I rub this all up, in inferior goods, your shift is not going to your IC is not going to be this one. IC2 is not going to be your final IC. Your IC will shift somewhere in between of these two, and this will be your point C, and you will come to here. This will be your final level. So this much is still going to be your substitution effect, but because income effect is negative when we talk about normal goods, when we talk about inferior goods, so that is why we shift back on our consumption of X, because X is an inferior good. So we'll reduce the consumption of X. So in inferior good case, your final consumption bundle will lie somewhere in between these two, A and B. From here also arises the concept of compensated and uncompensated demand curve. So what happens is that this A and B, you see that here we compensated the consumer for his increase in the real income. So this if we correspond them to the changes in the price level, that our price has fallen from P1 to P2 for X. So the curve, the line that we get by joining these 2 points A and B according to their prices, that is our compensated. Okay, and the one that we get with total effect, that is our C point, that is our uncompensated effect, uncompensated curve. That's it. Thank you.